Welcome to the Demonology Iceberg, where we explore various demons as they're understood from the perspective of the Abrahamic religions, and in particular Christianity and Judaism. We'll start off with some of the most well known demonic entities and work our way to the most obscure demons, only known by experienced demonologists. Lucifer is often identified as a fallen angel and a powerful demon associated with rebellion, pride, and the embodiment of evil. The name Lucifer, meaning light bringer or morning star in Latin, originally referred to the planet Venus when it appeared at dawn. In Roman mythology, it was personified as a figure heralding the dawn, often portrayed as a godlike or celestial being who fell from grace. Lucifer's transformation from a celestial being into a demonic figure occurred primarily through Christian theology, particularly in medieval interpretations. In Christian demonology, Lucifer is closely associated with Satan and is considered the leader of a celestial rebellion against God. This rebellion led to his fall from heaven, and Isaiah chapter 14 verses 12 to 15 speaks of the morning star being cast down for attempting to take God's throne. Although the connection between Lucifer and Satan is not explicit in biblical texts, later Christian writers and theologians cemented this association. They interpreted Lucifer as a symbol of ultimate defiance against divine authority. In demonological hierarchies, Lucifer is often placed at the apex, ruling over hell alongside other demonic figures. His character embodies pride, the sin that traditionally leads to damnation. His appearance is said to reflect his association with pride, and Lucifer is said to be the most beautiful demon or fallen angel. This beauty associated with Lucifer is said to make it difficult for individuals to resist his charm without faith in Jesus Christ. In classifications of demons, Lucifer is always one of the principal demonic forces, representing the fallen angel who leads others into rebellion against God. Despite his role in Christian demonology as a personification of evil, Lucifer's identity evolved in other contexts, especially in modern esoteric and occult traditions. Luciferianism, for example, reinterprets Lucifer as a symbol of enlightenment and individual freedom rather than outright evil, and seeks to disassociate Lucifer from the figure of Satan. In this framework, Lucifer represents intellectual and spiritual liberation, contrasting with the traditional Christian depiction of him as the embodiment of sin. Some occult practitioners view Lucifer as an educator or a light bringer who encourages humanity to seek knowledge and question authority. This reinterpretation aligns with John Milton's Paradise Lost, where Lucifer is portrayed as a tragic, rebellious figure who opposes God out of a desire for freedom and self-determination. In Thelema, a modern occult philosophy founded by Aleister Crowley, Lucifer again plays a significant role symbolizing enlightenment, independence, and self-liberation, rather than traditional evil. Thelema emphasizes individual will as the highest law, and Lucifer, as a light bringer, is seen as a figure who illuminates the path to self-awareness and spiritual insight. In this context, Lucifer represents rebellion against conventional morality, encouraging practitioners to seek knowledge and embrace their own divine nature. Like in Luciferianism, in Thelema, Lucifer is not directly identified with Satan or with any evil forces, but is rather portrayed as a Prometheus-like figure. Despite these interpretations, traditional demonology maintains Lucifer's role as a primary adversary of the divine order. Lilith is regarded as Adam's first wife in Jewish and Christian demonology and is ascribed significant powers. Lilith's earliest origins can be traced to Mesopotamian mythology, where she was part of a class of female demons linked with storms and the night. These early depictions, such as her appearance in the Epic of Gilgamesh, describe her as a destructive, vampiric figure who fled to the desert after her lair, a sacred tree, was destroyed. In this context, Lilith embodied the fears associated with untamed nocturnal forces. Her characteristics were later absorbed into early Jewish demonology, where she became an archetype of female rebellion and danger. In Jewish traditions, Lilith's most famous role is as Adam's first wife. According to this tradition, Lilith was created at the same time and from the same earth as Adam. However, she refused to be subservient to him, insisting on equality. When Adam attempted to force her into submission, Lilith fled the Garden of Eden. According to tradition, this act of rebellion led her to be permanently cast out and transformed into a demon. In Kabbalistic traditions, Lilith is often paired with the evil archangel Samael, with whom she is said to have birthed numerous demonic offspring. Together, they are sometimes portrayed as a dark mirror to Adam and Eve, symbolizing the inversion of divine order. Amulets and incantations were commonly used to ward off Lilith's influence, particularly for women during childbirth, a time when she was believed to be most dangerous. These protective measures became a significant part of Jewish magical practices, often invoking angels or sacred texts to counteract her power. In Christian demonology, Lilith was often associated with witches, and was said to have command of legions of succubi meant to lead men astray. Modern interpretations of Lilith tend to paint her in a much more positive light than traditional interpretations did. In Wicca and modern witchcraft, Lilith is venerated as a symbol of feminine empowerment, autonomy, and the untamed aspects of the divine feminine. She is often invoked in practices that emphasize personal strength, independence, and resistance to societal constraints. Mammon is widely recognized as the embodiment of greed and materialism and the demon lord of unchecked and unending desire for wealth. Originating from the New Testament, where Jesus warns against the duality of serving both God and mammon, the term is closely associated with wealth and the desire for earthly goods. In this context, mammon is seen as a force that distracts individuals from spiritual pursuits, leading them down a path of corruption and moral decay. In the medieval period, the personification of mammon solidified in Christian theology. He was often described as one of the 7 princes of hell, embodying the sin of greed, one of the 7 deadly sins. Theologians assigned him the role of tempting individuals to hoard wealth, and artists depicted him in various forms, from a bloated, treasure-obsessed figure to a king encrusted in jewels. His ability to corrupt is depicted as so powerful that even virtuous men, if swayed by his influence, would abandon their principles in pursuit of riches. Mammon's influence is often portrayed not just as external greed, but as an internal temptation that leads individuals to prioritize material wealth over ethical and spiritual well-being. This dual aspect, greed's outer manifestations and its corrupting influence on the soul, is a central theme in his depiction throughout theological and literary work. The association of mammon with greed helped to cement the demon's position as a central figure in Christian demonology. This connection was significant in reinforcing the Church's message that greed was a corrupting vice, capable of leading souls away from salvation. The influence of mammon did not disappear with the passing of medieval superstitions. In literature, mammon has appeared as a symbol of greed and materialism. Notable examples include Paradise Lost, where mammon is portrayed as one of the fallen angels, consumed by a love for earthly wealth even in hell. In contemporary culture, mammon's role has extended beyond religious contexts to symbolize the dangers of unchecked capitalism and consumerism. Critics of modern economic systems sometimes use mammon as a metaphor for the pursuit of profit at the expense of ethical considerations, suggesting that the worship of wealth can lead to societal harm. Notably, no modern occultists seem to openly profess to the worship or control of this demon, which, given Mammon's domain, I find a little bit odd. Beelzebub occupies a central place in the hierarchy of hell within demonology, and is often viewed as one of the most prominent and powerful demons. Originating as a deity in the Philistine city of Ekron, his name evolved from Baal-zebub, which means Lord of the Flies in Hebrew. The term is widely considered derogatory, mocking the god Baal, who was originally associated with fertility and agricultural practices, by associating him with something as lowly as flies. In terms of appearance, he is sometimes portrayed as a beautiful winged human, though he is more often portrayed as a grotesque fly-like being. Some traditions hold that he appears in a human-like form when he needs to mask his true disgusting appearance. In later Christian interpretations, Beelzebub was demonized, a common process by which pagan gods were turned into evil figures to align with the monotheistic worldview. In the New Testament, Beelzebub is referenced several times, most prominently where Jesus is falsely accused of performing exorcisms through Beelzebub's power rather than God's power. Over time, Beelzebub and Satan linked up, and Beelzebub is often depicted as synonymous with or as a chief lieutenant to Satan in Christian demonology. In the medieval period, Beelzebub was absorbed into the broader hierarchy of hell developed by occultists and theologians. He came to be regarded as one of the 7 princes of hell, often associated with the deadly sin of gluttony, though some accounts link him to pride instead. His role in the infernal government is prominent, often depicted as second only to Lucifer or Satan. In Paradise Lost, Beelzebub is portrayed as one of the leading fallen angels who sided with Lucifer in the rebellion against God, and is portrayed as a member of the unholy Trinity. Further, he is described as a bringer of chaos and destruction, possessing people and causing mayhem. In the Testament of Solomon, a text discussed later, Beelzebub boasts about causing war, sowing discord among priests, and causing people to slay their loved ones through jealousy. Yaldabaoth, in demonology and Gnostic cosmology, holds a prominent role as the demiurge, a creator god who is often portrayed as a malevolent and ignorant being. Yaldabaoth is frequently depicted as a lion-headed serpent, symbolizing his brute strength and base instincts, as well as deceit or self-deception. This visual representation underscores his animalistic nature, contrasting with the higher, more refined divine beings in Gnostic tradition. This figure originates from Gnostic texts discovered in the Nag Hammadi library in 1945, which shed light on early Christian and Gnostic beliefs. In Gnosticism, Yaldabaoth is the offspring of Sophia, a divine being who, without the consent of the higher divine powers, attempts to create a being apart from the divine realm. This flawed creation is Yaldabaoth, who, ignorant of his origins, believes himself to be the supreme god. In this belief, he created the material world and other rulers, known as archons, to govern it. In these traditions, he is depicted as the false god who imprisons divine sparks, fragments of the true divine essence, within human beings, entrapping souls in the material world. Gnostics contrast him with the hidden, transcendent true God, emphasizing the dualistic struggle between the material and spiritual realms. For Gnostics, Yaldabaoth represents the flawed nature of the material world, a place of suffering and ignorance. This flawed creation is seen as an impediment to the human soul's return to the divine, and liberation is only possible through gnosis, or secret knowledge. In certain Gnostic sects, Yaldabaoth is directly linked to the God of the Old Testament, portrayed as an arrogant and wrathful deity who falsely claims to be the only God. This starkly contrasts with the benevolent, unseen true God of the Gnostic tradition, as well as the teachings of Christ, who is seen as the emissary of this true divine being. This interpretation places Yaldabaoth in opposition to the Christ of the New Testament, who seeks to liberate humanity from the ignorance imposed by Yaldabaoth's creation. In some demonological texts, Yaldabaoth is identified as the serpent in the Garden of Eden. The Lesser Key of Solomon is a highly influential grimoire on demonology and the occult, compiled in the mid-17th century from various sources dating back at least several centuries earlier. This text, attributed to King Solomon, is a seminal work in Western esotericism and is primarily concerned with the summoning and control of spirits, both demonic and angelic. The Lesser Key of Solomon is rooted in a complex tradition of medieval and Renaissance magic, and possibly even magical traditions stretching back to antiquity. While it's traditionally attributed to King Solomon, further additions were noted to have been made through earlier grimoires, mystic traditions, Christian demonology, and astrology. The Lesser Key of Solomon is divided into 5 distinct books, each dealing with different aspects of magic and spirit conjuration. The first and most well-known section, Ars Goetia, details the 72 demons that King Solomon supposedly bound and controlled. This section provides descriptions of each demon, their powers, their ranks, and how they can be summoned. The Ars Goetia also provides sigils associated with the summoning of each demon. The Ars Theurgia Goetia deals with a different class of spirits, known as aerial spirits, and details complex rituals for summoning and controlling them. Unlike the demons of the Ars Goetia, these spirits are more ambiguous and are not necessarily evil. The spirits in this section are tied to specific directions on the compass, with various emperors, dukes, and princes ruling over them. The Ars Paulina is divided into 2 distinct parts. The first part deals with the 24 angels of the hours of the day, while the second part addresses the angels ruling over the degrees of the zodiac. It claims to be based on the teachings of Paul the Apostle and esoteric traditions developed by his followers in the millennia that followed. The Ars Almadel focuses on the summoning of angelic beings associated with specific regions of the heavens. This book describes the creation of a magical wax tablet, known as the Almadel, which is used to communicate with these angels. The final section, the Ars Notoria, is a collection of prayers and meditations designed to enhance the magician's memory and understanding. Unlike the other books, which focus on the summoning of spirits, the Ars Notoria is more concerned with the development of the practitioner's intellectual and spiritual abilities. Notably, this section has been omitted from many collections of this grimoire, which some speculate indicates a special power associated with this esoteric knowledge. The Lesser Key of Solomon has had a profound impact on the development of Western esotericism. It was notably edited and published by Aleister Crowley in the early 20th century. His edition, known as the Goetia, the Lesser Key of Solomon the King, helped to popularize the text among modern occultists and brought it to a wider audience. Crowley added his interpretations and modifications to the text, blending it with his own theories of magic and psychology. In demonology, the term legion refers to a collective of demons, famously mentioned in the Bible during the exorcism performed by Jesus, described in the Gospels of Mark, Matthew, and Luke. When Jesus encounters the possessed man, he asks the name of the demon inhabiting him, to which the response is famously, "My name is Legion, for we are many." The term legion here is evocative of the Roman military unit, symbolizing a large, organized group of demonic entities inhabiting a single individual. Notably, most demonologists believe that legion does not refer to the actual name of the demon itself, but rather simply multitudes of demons that were possessing a single individual. The story itself is significant in Christian demonology, as it demonstrates the idea that a person could be possessed by multiple demons simultaneously. But let's get back to the narrative about how Jesus Christ conquered this demon. The possessed man lived among tombs, isolated and tormented, until Jesus cast out the demons, who requested to enter a herd of pigs. Upon doing so, the hogs rushed into the sea and drowned, signifying the expulsion of the demons from the human world. This dramatic scene illustrates not only the supreme power of Jesus over demonic forces, but also highlights the destructive nature of demons in Christian theology. Notably, the powerful demons possessing the man are noted to become extremely weak and docile when faced with the overwhelming spiritual force of Jesus Christ. Buer is a notable demon classified as a great president of hell, commanding 50 legions of demons. According to the Lesser Key of Solomon, Buer teaches moral and natural philosophy, logic, and the properties of herbs, with a particular emphasis on healing both physical and mental afflictions. Buer's abilities are closely associated with his wisdom and his mastery of herbal medicine, making him a frequent subject of interest for occultists seeking knowledge or healing. In terms of appearance, Buer is depicted in various ways depending on the text. However, he is generally depicted with a lion's head and 5 goat-like legs arranged in a star-like formation, which allows him to move in all directions. This unique form reflects his dynamic presence, as he can supposedly move swiftly across different realms and dimensions. While many figures in demonology are described with malevolent traits, Buer stands out for his relatively neutral and sometimes even benevolent nature. Satan occupies a central role as the embodiment of evil, rebellion, and temptation, particularly within the context of Abrahamic religions. His characterization varies across Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, but certain themes remain consistent, such as his opposition to God and his role in leading humans astray. The figure of Satan first appears in the Hebrew Bible, where the term refers to an adversary or accuser in God's court. In this early context, Satan was not inherently evil, but acted as an agent of God's will, testing the faith of individuals and drawing out unrepentant sinners from the legions of the faithful. However, it's speculated that during the time period between the Old Testament and the New Testament, Satan evolved into a more malevolent figure, opposing God in a dualistic sense. In Christianity, Satan's primary mission is to tempt humans to sin, as seen in the Gospels when he tempts Jesus in the wilderness. He is frequently associated with other demonic entities, often described as his servants, who share his mission of inducing humans to commit sin and abandon their faith. Christian demonology views Satan as the ruler of a hierarchy of demons, and his influence is perceived in phenomena such as demonic possession and heresy. In this understanding, Satan has become intertwined with the devil, the complete and total personification of evil. In Islam, the figure is known as Shaitan and is a jinn made of smoke. However, in the Islamic telling, Shaitan doesn't disobey God, but rather disobeys orders from Adam. Like the Christian conception of Satan, his role is to tempt humanity, specifically by planting evil thoughts in the minds of believers, drawing them away from righteousness. Satan's image in Christian demonology extends beyond his biblical role into a vast mythos that includes a complex hierarchy of demons and various forms of demonic activity. In contrast to traditional religious views, modern Satanism offers a different interpretation of Satan. In LaVeyan Satanism, founded by Anton LaVey in 1966, Satan is not viewed as a literal being, but rather as a symbol of individualism, liberty, and defiance against authority. Theistic Satanism, on the other hand, treats Satan as a deity worthy of worship. Both movements reject the Christian view of Satan as the ultimate source of evil, instead claiming to see him as a figure of empowerment. In the Bible, the name Azazel was first associated with the concept of the scapegoat. Specifically in Leviticus, Azazel is tied to the ritual of the Day of Atonement, where a goat is sent into the wilderness, symbolically carrying the sins of the people. The precise meaning of Azazel in this context has been debated, but most interpret it as a reference to a wilderness demon, marking him as an early figure linked to sin and exile. In Jewish apocryphal texts, particularly the Book of Enoch, Azazel's role is expanded significantly. He is portrayed as one of the leaders of the Watchers, fallen angels who descended to earth and intermingled with humanity. He is in particular blamed for teaching humans the arts of warfare, weapon making, and cosmetics, thereby introducing both violence and vanity into the world. These teachings led to widespread moral corruption, and as a result, Azazel was bound by the archangel Raphael and cast into a desolate region until the day of judgment. In the Dead Sea Scrolls, Azazel is again associated with the Watchers and their offspring, the Nephilim. These texts emphasize his role in corrupting humanity and spreading sin, reinforcing his place as a central figure in ancient Jewish demonology. In Christian demonology, he is sometimes equated with Satan himself, or depicted as a separate demon who plays a pivotal role in the fall of humanity. In some traditions, he is considered responsible for the temptation of Adam and Eve, marking him as a figure closely linked with humanity's original sin. In Islamic tradition, he is depicted as a high-ranking angel who fell from grace. Before his fall, he was a pious servant of God, but he later defied divine commands and was cast out of heaven. Throughout medieval demonology, Azazel's legend evolved. He became identified as a prince of hell, often associated with pride, rebellion, and the introduction of chaos into the world. The Pseudo-Monarchia Demonum, or False Monarchy of Demons, is a seminal 16th century grimoire by Johann Weyer, first appearing in 1577. This text is an extensive catalog of demons, providing a hierarchy of 69 spirits, and it outlines the proper rituals and hours to summon them. Weyer's work served as a precursor to other famous texts on demonology, such as the Lesser Key of Solomon. Weyer was a Dutch physician who studied under the renowned occultist Heinrich Cornelius Agrippa. However, unlike other demonologists of his era, Weyer's approach was distinct. He was critical of the witch hunts prevalent during the period and often mocked the perceived power of demonic forces. In his view, while these demons may have been real forces, they were ultimately weak and ineffective in comparison to the forces of the kingdom of heaven, hence the title of the work. Another interpretation of the text suggests it was intended to be a skeptical take on demonology. Under this theory, the work is essentially satire, and every subsequent work that relied on it simply didn't get the memo that it wasn't to be taken at face value. Another prominent theory which builds upon the last theory is that Weyer had to present the book as satirical so that he wasn't accused of summoning and controlling demons himself. But that's enough about the intentions of the author. Let's get back to the grimoire itself. In this text, each demon is given a title, ranks in the infernal hierarchy, and jobs in the bureaucracy of hell, and the corresponding legions of demons and fallen angels they command. These descriptions were not merely theoretical for those who read the grimoire. They provided practical guidance for those seeking to counter their power or to harness their power through summoning rituals. Paimon is a central figure in demonology and is said to possess significant powers. Paimon rides a camel and commands numerous legions of demons, and is regarded as one of the foremost kings of hell. His first mention appears in notable grimoires, such as the Lesser Key of Solomon and Pseudo-Monarchia Daemonum. Paimon's domain is expansive, as he governs 200 legions of spirits, with a significant number of them drawn from the ranks of the fallen angels. Often described as possessing a striking appearance, Paimon is depicted as a regal figure riding a camel, typically with a very feminine face. He wears a crown adorned with precious jewels, signaling his high status in the infernal hierarchy. He is usually accompanied by a retinue of demons and fallen angels, who announce his arrival with a grand display of music, particularly trumpets and cymbals. Paimon's powers are vast, with a focus on knowledge, arts, and sciences. He is known to impart wisdom on various subjects, from philosophy to the mysteries of the natural world. His expertise in these areas makes him a figure of great interest to those seeking intellectual or artistic enlightenment. His connection to creativity is particularly emphasized, as he is often invoked by artists and musicians seeking inspiration. Moreover, Paimon has the ability to reveal hidden knowledge, which has made him a sought-after entity in rituals aimed at uncovering secrets or enhancing wisdom. However, unlike Astaroth, discussed later in this video, Paimon's quote-unquote hidden knowledge must be taken with a grain of salt, as like most demons, he's known to routinely lie. According to tradition, when summoned, Paimon can grant a wide variety of powerful familiars, which are highly desirable for practitioners of occult rituals. As a demon closely associated with Lucifer, Paimon is typically portrayed as particularly obedient to him, distinguishing him from other infernal kings who are inherently more unruly. In certain traditions, he is believed to have a connection to angels serving in the kingdom of heaven, and to serve as an intermediary between heaven and hell through this role. Offerings made to Paimon during summoning rituals typically include items of value such as precious metals or incense, with frankincense being particularly common. However, offerings tied to the arts, such as musical compositions or artistic creations, are considered especially appropriate given Paimon's dominion over these realms. Hey everyone, it's Jimmy here. Hope you're having as much fun watching this video as I had researching and writing it. Just a quick reminder to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already, and also to share this video with your friends and family. Also feel free to check out the Patreon or the YouTube membership if you're into that sort of thing. Behemoth is a monstrous creature originating from biblical texts and later incorporated into demonology, symbolizing the overwhelming power of nature and chaos. Described in the book of Job, Behemoth represents a primeval beast of immense strength that cannot be tamed by human forces alone. In demonology, Behemoth is depicted as a demon embodying the sin of gluttony, and is sometimes considered a counterpart to Leviathan, the ruler of the sea. Scholars have debated the literal and symbolic interpretations of Behemoth. Some suggest that the description aligns with large terrestrial animals, such as the hippopotamus or the elephant. Others propose that Behemoth represents a mythological creature embodying the raw and untamed forces of the natural world. The symbolic interpretation views Behemoth as an allegory for the chaotic elements of existence that are beyond human control, highlighting the theme of humility before divine power. In demonological traditions, Behemoth's portrayal shifts from a neutral or awe-inspiring beast to a malevolent entity. Medieval grimoires and occult texts classify Behemoth as the demon of gluttony, one of the 7 deadly sins. Behemoth is believed to tempt individuals to overindulge in earthly pleasures, particularly food and drink, leading them away from spiritual enlightenment and closer to damnation. In this context, Behemoth serves as a personification of excess and the dangers of succumbing to base desires. Notably, Behemoth is often mentioned alongside Leviathan and Z's, forming a trio of monstrous creatures that dominate the land, sea, and air, respectively. Artistic representations of Behemoth have varied over the centuries. In medieval illustrations, Behemoth is sometimes depicted as a gigantic elephant or a monstrous hippopotamus with exaggerated features. These sorts of portrayals have continued up to the present day. The Book of Abramelin is an important text within the tradition of Western esotericism, credited to a 15th century Jewish mystic named Abraham of Worms. This grimoire claims to impart profound mystical knowledge, primarily concerning the summoning of one's guardian angel. It also outlines a detailed magical system rooted in Kabbalistic principles. The book is divided into 3 sections. The first part recounts Abraham of Worms's travels and his encounter with Abramelin, a wise Egyptian mage. Abraham describes the teachings he received from Abramelin, which form the foundation of the ritualistic practices in the book. Abramelin's wisdom emphasizes living a life of purity and devotion to God. This spiritual grounding is essential before one can successfully undertake the magical practices detailed in the following sections. The second book of the Book of Abramelin provides a rigorous ritual process known as the Abramelin operation. This operation is designed to establish direct contact with the practitioner's guardian angel, a spiritual entity meant to offer divine wisdom and guidance. This process is highly involved, demanding an extended period of preparation that can last from 6 to 18 months. During this time, practitioners must maintain celibacy, refrain from alcohol, engage in daily prayers, and adhere to a strict ethical code. The ritual culminates in invoking the guardian angel, after which the practitioner is believed to gain the ability to summon and command various spirits and demons without fear of reprisal. The third part of the book consists of the actual magical techniques and spells. A prominent feature of this section is the use of word squares, grid-like patterns of letters that form magical words or names. These word squares are designed for a variety of purposes, such as achieving invisibility, finding hidden treasures, or ensuring protection. Each square is linked to a specific goal and comes with instructions for its use. The focus on the guardian angel is a key feature of the Abramelin magic system. This spiritual entity is central to guiding the practitioner through the complexities of magical work, providing wisdom and protection. The concept of this guardian angel later became influential in other occult systems, most notably in Aleister Crowley's Thelema, where it plays a pivotal role. The book also carries a certain mystique, often described as a cursed text, due to the warnings that accompany the rituals. Practitioners are cautioned that attempting the magic without proper preparation or with impure motives could result in dangerous consequences. Byleth is classified as a king of hell. He is believed to command 85 legions of demons, a testament to his power and influence in the infernal hierarchy. Byleth is typically depicted riding a pale horse, with a grand procession of musical instruments, particularly trumpets, preceding him. In most depictions, he is portrayed as a large anthropomorphic cat demon. His appearance is said to be furious and menacing, a tactic used to intimidate those who dare summon him. However, with proper rituals and protections, it's said his temper can be subdued, making him more compliant to the summoner's commands. His unpredictable temperament and immense power require skilled magicians who are well versed in protective measures, such as drawing specific sigils or using symbolic tools like a hazel wand. Notably, Byleth is said to require anyone who summons him to acknowledge his rank as king before granting any powers. Byleth is one of the demons found in the Lesser Key of Solomon, who is known to slay conjurers who fail to control him adequately, and as such, he is generally to be approached only with extreme caution. However, if he is able to be controlled, he is said to be able to assist the summoner with mathematical problems, as well as problems related to love. The Malleus Maleficarum, Latin for Hammer of Witches, published in 1487 by Heinrich Kramer, became one of the most influential works on witchcraft and demonology during the early modern period. It played a central role in shaping European witch trials, solidifying legal and theological views on witchcraft, and providing a systematic approach to identifying and prosecuting suspected witches. Kramer's work, underpinned by papal endorsement, was particularly notable for intertwining folklore, legal procedure, and demonological theory to justify widespread persecution. Kramer's obsession with demonology arose from his failed attempts at prosecuting witches, particularly in the Tyrol region of the Holy Roman Empire. After his dismissal as insane and irrational by a local bishop, Kramer sought to restore his credibility. His solution was the Malleus Maleficarum, a text that would become notorious for its harsh views on witchcraft. The Malleus is divided into 3 parts, each addressing different aspects of witchcraft and its prosecution. The first part outlines the theological justification for the existence of witchcraft, rooted in the belief that witches, in consort with demons, posed a severe threat to the Christian order. Kramer vehemently rejected any notion that witchcraft might be a delusion, insisting instead that anyone denying its reality was guilty of heresy. The second part of the book deals with the mechanics of witchcraft, listing powers attributed to witches and how they could be detected. It ranges from accusations of casting curses to stealing a man's virility through demonic means. According to Kramer, witches' abilities came directly from their pacts with the devil, and these pacts included engaging in diabolical carnal acts. The third section, arguably the most infamous, provides detailed instructions on how to conduct witch trials. It covers how to extract confessions, the criteria for guilt, and the legal procedures to be followed. These procedures made it nearly impossible for the accused to defend themselves. For example, any woman who did not weep during her trial was automatically assumed to be a witch, while those who wept too much were also assumed to be witches as well. Further, those who resisted confession were seen as being protected by a demonic spell of silence, while those who eagerly confessed were taken to obviously be witches, because why else would they confess? The legal framework advocated by Kramer left virtually no room for acquittal, making the text a potent tool for ensuring convictions. The Malleus Maleficarum had a profound impact on the witch hunts that followed, particularly in the Holy Roman Empire, where it was widely adopted by secular courts. Its influence spread across Europe, with approximately 30 editions printed between 1487 and 1669. The text was used by both Protestant and Catholic authorities, cementing its role as the go-to guide for witch hunters regardless of doctrinal differences. Despite its wide usage, the Malleus Maleficarum was not without controversy. Many scholars within the Church opposed it, and even during its publication, critics noted that it contradicted established Church doctrines. Further, the very odd legal procedures that were established alarmed many contemporary witch hunters who were concerned that the procedures were so strict that only a legitimate witch would be not guilty. Under this formulation, only someone employing the abilities of a demonic entity could thread the line required for acquittal, leading to the persecution of innocents and the release of witches. Leviathan holds a significant role in demonology, depicted as a colossal sea serpent embodying chaos and destruction. Its origins can be traced back to ancient mythologies, notably in the Old Testament, where it is mentioned multiple times. However, as Leviathan's mythology evolved, especially within Christian demonology, it became associated with more sinister aspects of existence. In Christian demonology, Leviathan is frequently classified among the four principal demons, alongside Lucifer, Satan, and Belial. Its primary association is with the deadly sin of envy, representing both a spiritual threat and a force of immense destructive potential. As the Lord of Envy, Leviathan's jealousy manifests as an all-consuming hunger, threatening not just individuals, but all of creation. The demon's envious nature is so profound that it poses a significant danger to divine order, particularly through its association with the sea and chaos. Leviathan's destructive abilities are vividly detailed in various demonological texts. Descriptions often highlight its capacity to breathe fire, its foul breath, and its power to cause the seas to boil, emphasizing its nature as a harbinger of chaos. These attributes reflect not only its role as a physical threat, but also as a spiritual one. Notably, the Book of Abramelin purports to allow for the summoning of Leviathan. Astaroth, one of the most prominent figures in demonology, holds a significant role as the Grand Duke of Hell, as well as the Treasurer of Hell. His origins can be traced back to early texts such as the Pseudo-Monarchia Daemonum and the Lesser Key of Solomon. Astaroth is often depicted as a male demon with a regal crown, feathered wings, and a serpent in his hand, riding a dragon-like beast with a snake's tail. Astaroth is thought to form what some sources describe as an evil trinity, with the two other members being the much more prominent Lucifer, or Satan, and Beelzebub. The demon's name is thought to have derived from the ancient goddess Astarte, a deity worshipped in the Near East for her associations with fertility and war. By the time of the medieval Christian demonologists, this goddess had been transformed into the male figure of Astaroth. In terms of his abilities, Astaroth is said to possess profound knowledge of the past, present, and future. His intellect is highly regarded, particularly in the realms of science, philosophy, and the arts. He is thought to be willing to share this knowledge with those who summon him, but caution is necessary according to traditional accounts. Astaroth's breath is described as toxic and deadly, requiring the conjurer to use protective items, such as a silver ring held under the nose to survive the encounter. Despite his dangerous nature, Astaroth is also known for being truthful in his answers, a rarity among demons, making him a valuable resource for those who seek forbidden knowledge. His advice, while often sought after by occultists, also comes with the risk of moral corruption, as Astaroth is skilled in manipulating human vanity and rationalizing sinful behaviors. Further, his willingness to give intellectuals the answers they seek for no apparent price is thought to place the seed of the deadly sin of sloth into the mind of the intellectual. The intellectual who receives help by summoning this demon is said to risk becoming increasingly lazy, leading them further down this path of sin. Also, I mentioned that Astaroth is a surprisingly honest demon, and according to tradition, this was noted by his colleagues as well. His honesty is thought to have landed him the role as Treasurer of Hell, where he oversees the finances of Hell's hierarchy. Simply put, according to tradition, he was given this important job because he was the only demon who wasn't constantly lying. Given this role, other demons are said to be on their best behavior around him, for fear of getting their budgets slashed. And no, I'm not joking. According to traditional demonology, one of the most feared traits is the ability to withdraw funding for evil deeds. Asmodeus, a central figure in demonology, has long been regarded as one of the most significant and powerful demons, with domain over the deadly sin of lust. Asmodeus is often identified as one of the seven princes of hell, tasked with spreading sin and corruption, primarily through lustful means. Physically, Asmodeus is often described as a grotesque and fearsome figure. Asmodeus is depicted with three heads, those of a bull, a man, and a ram, signifying strength, intelligence, and animalistic passion. He is said to ride upon a dragon, with the lower half of his body resembling the legs of a rooster, and flames issuing from his mouths. In the Book of Tobit, an apocryphal Jewish text given various degrees of acceptance in Christianity, Asmodeus falls in love with Sarah and slays her 7 successive husbands on their wedding nights. His actions prevent the marriages from being consummated, reflecting his association with lust and thwarted love. Ultimately, Tobias, with the help of the archangel Raphael, overcomes Asmodeus by using a combination of prayers and the innards of a fish, banishing the demon to the deserts of Egypt. Asmodeus's prominence in Jewish demonology is further expanded upon in the Testament of Solomon, where he is depicted as both a trickster and a servant. In this text, Asmodeus is bound by King Solomon to assist in building the first temple, though he later tricks the king and seizes the throne for a short period. In Christian demonology, Asmodeus is closely tied to the vice of lust and appears in several key texts that catalog demons and their hierarchies. For instance, the Malleus Maleficarum classifies Asmodeus as the demon responsible for influencing human beings toward immoral desires. During the Renaissance and early modern periods, Asmodeus became a popular figure in occult literature, especially within the practice of demonology and ceremonial magic. He appears in grimoires such as the Pseudo-Monarchia Daemonum and the Lesser Key of Solomon, where he is invoked by magicians seeking power, knowledge, and treasure. In these texts, Asmodeus is portrayed as a demon who can grant invincibility, teach mathematics, astronomy, and geometry, and reveal caches of ancient treasure. Stolas is recognized as a great prince of hell, commanding 26 legions of demons. He is best known for his knowledge in astronomy, herbs, poisonous plants, and precious stones, making him a source of esoteric wisdom. Stolas is often sought for his intellectual capabilities rather than malevolent intentions. Instead, his teachings focus on celestial knowledge, linking him to the study of the stars, and natural sciences, emphasizing the properties of plants and minerals. His dual association with both the heavens, through astronomy, and the earth, through herbs and stones, emphasizes his role as a mediator of knowledge between different realms. Depictions of Stolas vary across different sources. However, he is always portrayed as an eerie, bird-like entity. He is commonly portrayed as a crowned owl with long legs, or sometimes as a raven, both symbols of wisdom and mystery. This bird-like form is particularly significant, as owls and ravens are often associated with the night and the pursuit of occult knowledge. In some accounts, Stolas has the ability to take on a human form upon the conjurer's request. The Testament of Solomon is a work traditionally attributed to King Solomon, renowned in biblical tradition for his wisdom and for constructing the first temple in Jerusalem. Likely composed between the 1st and 3rd centuries AD, it holds significant value in demonology, detailing Solomon's interactions with various demons, whom he compels to assist in building the temple. And trust me, for anyone out there who's a fan of gaming, it turns out that Solomon was something between a Pokemon master and a demon summoner from Shin Megami Tensei. Who knew? The narrative begins with Solomon receiving a magical ring from the Archangel Michael granted by God, empowering him to command demons. This ring, inscribed with the Seal of Solomon, is central to his control over demonic entities. The text proceeds to catalog the demons summoned by Solomon, each possessing unique characteristics, origins, and the afflictions they impose upon humans. A primary role of the Testament in demonology is its comprehensive classification of demons. These entities are portrayed with intricate personalities and specific domains of influence. The Testament of Solomon integrates elements of Greek and Near Eastern mythology, reflecting a mixture of cultural and religious beliefs. For instance, the inclusion of figures like Ephippas, a wind demon from Arabian lore, and Obi-Zuth, who is based on Medusa, reflects a blending of different demonological traditions. In addition to cataloging demons, the Testament offers insights into methods of exorcism and protection against demonic influences. Solomon's interactions with demons often culminate in the demons revealing the angels or rituals that can thwart them, providing practical guidance for readers. This aspect underscores the text's function not only as a narrative, but also as a manual for combating supposed demonic afflictions. The Testament of Solomon significantly influenced later medieval demonology and magical practices, both in Christian and Jewish traditions. Its themes and demon classifications appear in grimoires and occult texts throughout the Middle Ages and the Renaissance. The concept of commanding demons through divine authority or magical means becomes a recurring motif in Western esoteric traditions. The Seal of Solomon itself evolved into a prominent symbol in magical iconography, representing the power to bind and control spiritual entities. In modern demonology, the Testament of Solomon remains a foundational text. It is studied not only for its historical significance, but also for its contributions to understanding ancient perceptions of evil and the supernatural. The detailed descriptions of demons and their hierarchies continue to influence contemporary occult practices and literature, both from those who wish to combat them and those who wish to control them. Mephistopheles, often referred to as Mephisto, is a prominent demon primarily known from the German legend of Faust, where he becomes a symbol of temptation and deceit. While he has become an extremely well-known demon in the last number of centuries, in terms of demonology, his history is rather short. He is best recognized as the demon who strikes a pact with Dr. Faust, offering him unlimited knowledge and worldly pleasures in exchange for his soul. These tales of Dr. Faust are thought to have arisen in 16th century Germany, but they may be based on earlier legends. Mephisto's role as a tempter is nuanced, reflecting a cold detachment rather than outright malevolence. As an embodiment of logic and skepticism, he often engages in philosophical debates, questioning human morality and the futility of existence. In this way, Mephistopheles represents a cynicism that is more intellectual than destructive, offering earthly rewards in exchange for any rewards which may be given in the afterlife. Some interpret this demon as an embodiment of raw ambition, who only appears to tempt those who are potentially willing to give up everything to close in on their white whale. Person is another demon that's classified as one of the kings of hell in the Lesser Key of Solomon. In terms of appearance, Person is often depicted with a lion's face, riding upon a bear, and holding a viper in his hand. The imagery associated with him, especially the lion's face, symbolizes strength, dominance, and the capacity to reveal hidden knowledge. His association with trumpets, which are said to sound before him, signifies his majestic arrival, further reinforcing his status as a king. Person is known for his vast knowledge, particularly his ability to uncover secrets. He is often invoked by those seeking to find hidden treasures or to gain insight into past, present, and future events. His command over both earthly and divine secrets makes him a powerful figure in divination practices, particularly when dealing with questions about the nature of the universe. Additionally, Person has the ability to provide familiars, lesser demons that assist practitioners in various ways, from protection to performing specific tasks. While his powers can supposedly be beneficial, especially for those who seek knowledge or hidden truths, he remains a formidable entity. Summoning Person requires deep respect and careful preparation, as he is known to decide whether or not to grant his assistance based on the summoner's intent and approach. This balance of danger and wisdom is a common theme in demonological texts, where power is never given freely, but must be earned through ritual and understanding. Forneus is recognized in demonological texts as a great Marquis of Hell. He holds command over 29 legions of demons, and is noted for his expertise in rhetoric and languages. As one of the spirits listed in the Ars Goetia, Forneus is described as both a powerful teacher and a figure capable of bestowing favor upon individuals. He is said to make people knowledgeable in the art of rhetoric, enhancing their ability to communicate persuasively and fluently. In addition, he has the unique ability to help individuals earn the love and respect of both friends and foes alike. His physical form is often described as monstrous, most frequently depicted as a giant sea creature. This portrayal emphasizes his connection to the primordial forces of chaos, a motif common in demonology, where the sea often symbolizes the untamable aspects of the supernatural. Despite his fearsome appearance, Forneus is not considered unusually malevolent by demonological standards. Instead, he's said to serve as a benevolent tutor in the art of diplomacy, helping individuals navigate complex social situations. Familiars in occult practice are supernatural entities believed to assist witches and magicians in their magical workings. Often taking the form of animals or animal-like creatures, they act as guides, protectors, or servants to the practitioner. In European folklore, particularly during the witch trials of the Middle Ages and the early modern period, familiars were thought to be demons or spirits, given to witches by the devil. They commonly appeared as domestic animals such as cats, dogs, toads, or even insects, disguising their true nature from the untrained eye. These familiars were believed to possess magical powers, providing witches with knowledge, teaching them new spells, or performing tasks on their behalf. The relationship between a witch and their familiar was considered contractual, sealed through a pact or agreement. This bond was often solidified by the witch feeding the familiar with milk, bodily fluids, or other offerings, establishing a reciprocal relationship. Beyond Europe, the concept of spirit companions or familiars is prevalent in various cultures. In shamanistic practices worldwide, shamans interact with spirit animals, or guides that assist them in navigating the spiritual realm. These entities are viewed as benevolent helpers, providing wisdom, healing, and a connection to the natural world. In some Native American traditions, for example, animal spirits play a crucial role in guiding and protecting individuals and communities. In African and Afro-Caribbean traditions such as voodoo, practitioners engage with spirit entities or deities called loa, which can act similarly to familiars. The use of familiars in occult practice is not limited to historical contexts. In contemporary paganism, witchcraft, and occultism, the concept of the familiar has evolved. Modern practitioners may interpret familiars as representations of inner aspects of themselves, spirit guides, or elemental energies. Some seek physical animal companions, believing that a strong bond with an animal can enhance their spiritual practice and connection to nature, though this is not universally accepted as being a familiar. In ritual magic and ceremonial practices, Familiars can also be seen as thought forms or egregores, energies or entities created and empowered by the practitioner's focus and intent. These constructs serve specific purposes within the magical framework, acting as extensions of the practitioner's will. The creation and use of such entities require discipline and ethical considerations, as they involve manipulating subtle energies. While the role of the familiars is often portrayed as that of a companion or teacher, their role as a protector is significant. Practitioners often call upon them to guard against malevolent spirits, negative energies, or psychic attacks. In some traditions, the familiar acts as a mediator between the practitioner and other spiritual entities, facilitating communication and ensuring safe passage through various realms. Methods of acquiring a familiar vary across different practices. Some traditions involve rituals to summon and bind a spirit to serve as a familiar. Others emphasize forming a natural relationship with an animal or spirit through mutual respect and trust. Other traditions believe that the familiar can be manifested within one's mind and does not take on a physical body. In demonology, Furfur is a significant figure discussed in the Lesser Key of Solomon and noted as a great Earl of Hell. He is frequently depicted as a winged deer or hart, though he can also take the form of an angel when forced into a magical triangle, a method used by demonologists to compel truth from deceptive spirits. Furfur is a notorious liar and will not provide any useful information unless he is confined to this triangle. One of Furfur's primary powers is the ability to create storms and tempests, including thunder and lightning. He also has the ability to influence emotions, particularly in matters of love, often fostering romantic attraction between individuals. His mastery over natural elements and human emotions makes him a particularly versatile and dangerous demon, according to some traditions. In addition to these abilities, Furfur is said to reveal secret and divine knowledge when properly constrained. However, his reputation as a liar underscores the need for caution when invoking or attempting to summon him. Despite his deceitful tendencies, Furfur's ability to disclose hidden truths and provoke love makes him a potent figure to occult practitioners. Belial is a prominent figure in demonology, often depicted as one of the most powerful demons in hell. Originating from a Hebrew word meaning worthlessness or lawlessness, Belial embodies the personification of evil and rebellion against divine authority. In the Old Testament, the term Belial appears multiple times, not as a specific entity, but as a descriptor for individuals who are corrupt or ungodly. For instance, the sons of Belial refers to those who act against God's will, engaging in idolatry, or inciting others to sin. This usage underscores the association of Belial with immorality and defiance. The transformation of this demon from a mere concept to a demonic figure occurred in apocryphal texts. In the Dead Sea Scrolls, particularly the War of the Sons of Light against the Sons of Darkness, Belial is the leader of the forces of darkness. In this telling, he opposes the Archangel Michael and the forces of light. This depiction emphasizes the cosmic battle between good and evil, with Belial as a central antagonist. In the New Testament, Belial is mentioned in 2 Corinthians at chapter 6, verse 15, quote, "What harmony is there between Christ and Belial?" This rhetorical question highlights the incompatibility between the extreme righteousness of Christ and Belial's representation as the embodiment of pure evil. Medieval demonologists further developed this demon's character, integrating him into the infernal hierarchy. In the Lesser Key of Solomon, Belial is described as a king who commands 50 legions of demons and is noted to be one of the most powerful commanders of the forces of hell. He is noted to have influence over politics and social status, and uses humans' desire for titles and prestige to manipulate humans into doing his bidding. In Paradise Lost, Belial is one of the fallen angels who, despite his eloquence and graceful demeanor, is deemed the most idle and least ambitious among Satan's followers. This portrayal emphasizes the deceitful allure of vice masked by superficial charm. In occult practices, Belial is invoked for his alleged abilities to grant favors, titles, and material wealth. However, such summoning is considered extremely perilous due to his manipulative and untrustworthy nature. Practitioners caution against any dealings with this archdemon without proper protection and high levels of knowledge, as he is believed to twist any agreements to his advantage. If you like this video, please do me a huge favor and click like and subscribe, and also click the share button and send it to anyone who you think may enjoy it. Let me know in the comments below whether you want further content on demonology or a companion piece on angels. Shout out to my patrons Iced Mocha, Kurt the Squirt, Monoxide Wendigo, Jeffer Metcalf, Z Volts, Courtney Hammett, Out of Gray's Mind, Cap, Dionysus, Zach Steele, Franz Tech, Unknown Delusions, Faye, Jack Russell, Boomslang, Spookiest Becky, Vespertine, Metanova, Will Roan, Crab Nebula, and Blasphemous. Welcome to the Demonology Iceberg, where we discuss demons in the context of the Abrahamic religions. For the purpose of this video, most of these demonic entities will be discussed within the context of Christian and Jewish traditions. Also, before we get going, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps out in the algorithm. Dagon, originally a prominent deity in ancient Mesopotamian and Levantine cultures, underwent a significant transformation in perception over millennia from a revered god to a demonized figure. In ancient Mesopotamia, Dagon was worshipped as a god of agriculture and fertility. His name is believed to derive from a word meaning grain, reinforcing his association with crop harvests and suggesting involvement in fertility rituals as well. Dagon's worship was widespread among the Amorites and Assyrians, with numerous personal names incorporating his, indicating his importance in their pantheon. The Philistines, a seafaring people of the ancient Near East, also revered Dagon. Biblical accounts mention temples dedicated to him in cities like Ashdod. In the Book of Judges, the Philistines celebrate a victory over Samson in a temple of Dagon, highlighting his significance in their religious practices. Over time, interpretations of Dagon's image evolved. Some traditions depicted him as a fish god, combining human and fish elements. This portrayal likely stemmed from linguistic associations between his name and the Hebrew word dag, meaning fish. However, archaeological evidence supporting this fish-like representation is limited, and most scholars argue that Dagon was primarily an agricultural deity. The demonization of Dagon began with the rise of monotheistic religions, particularly within Christian contexts. Early Christian writers often reinterpreted pagan gods as demons, aligning with their theological perspectives. This shift is evident in various texts where Dagon is portrayed not as a benign deity, but as a malevolent entity. Notably, unlike many of the other demons discussed in this video, there are no known rituals associated with summoning Dagon. Baphomet is a figure that has intrigued and perplexed scholars, historians, and occultists for centuries. Its origins, associations, and symbolism have evolved over time, leading to various interpretations and misconceptions. The term Baphomet first appeared in the 11th century during the Crusades. In 1098, French crusader Anselm of Ribemont mentioned Baphomet in a letter describing the siege of Antioch. The letter indicated that the term was used by crusaders to refer to a deity worshipped by their Muslim adversaries. Throughout the 12th and 13th centuries, the name appeared in various poems and texts, often as a reference denoting a pagan idol, or as a god associated with the Near East. The most infamous association of Baphomet is with the Knights Templar, a medieval Christian military order. In 1307, King Philip IV of France ordered the arrest of many Templars, accusing them of heresy, idolatry, and other charges. Under torture, some Templars confessed to worshipping an idol named Baphomet, though descriptions varied widely. Some described it as a severed head, others as a cat, and some as a head with three faces. Modern scholars generally agree that these confessions were coerced and that the charges were politically motivated. The modern image of Baphomet as a goat-headed figure stems from the 19th century. French occultist Eliphas Lévy, in his 1854 work Dogmes et rituels de la haute magie, introduced the illustration of Baphomet as the sabbatic goat. This figure combined elements of the goat, human, and other symbols to represent the union of opposites, male and female, good and evil, human and divine. Levi's Baphomet was not intended as a symbol of evil, but rather as a representation of balance and harmony. Levi's depiction of Baphomet is rich in symbolism. The goat's head represents the earthly and carnal nature of humanity. The torch between the horns symbolizes enlightenment and the pursuit of knowledge. The pentagram on the forehead denotes the association with the elements and with magic. The staff of Hermes on the demon's abdomen represents the liminal space between life and death, as well as the integration of these polarities into liminal spaces. Finally, the androgynous features represented in a single figure represents the unity of opposites. Put simply, Levi's Baphomet was a complex symbol intended to convey deep esoteric truths rather than as the representation of evil it went on to become. In the 20th century, Baphomet's image was adopted by various occult and satanic groups. The Church of Satan, founded by Anton LaVey in 1966, incorporated the sigil of Baphomet as its official insignia. This symbol features a goat's head within an inverted pentagram, surrounded by Hebrew letters spelling Leviathan. Notably, this use of Baphomet was more about embracing a symbol of rebellion against traditional religious norms, rather than worshiping an actual deity. Unlike many of the other demons discussed in this iceberg, Baphomet is, in his current form, a very modern symbol, without deep roots. Summoning Baphomet is largely a myth perpetuated by occult lore and modern media, not rooted in historical ritual practices. No verified rituals exist for summoning it, as the figure is conceptual rather than supernatural. Regardless of Baphomet's lack of occult credibility, this demon has become one of the most widely known dark entities, likely due to its association with Satanism. Andras is a formidable figure in demonology, who is said to hold the title of Great Marquis of Hell and command 30 legions of demons. He is renowned for sowing discord and inciting conflict among individuals. Depictions of Andras present him as an angelic figure with the head of a raven or owl, riding a powerful black wolf and wielding a sharp, bright sword. Andras's primary ability lies in his ability to create discord. He can instigate conflicts, leading to arguments and fights among people. This power makes him particularly dangerous, as he can cause harm not only to his targets, but also to those who summon him. Summoners are cautioned to exercise extreme care, as Andras has the capacity to slay both the conjurer and their associates. Andras can also teach and empower necromancy, mind control, shape-shifting, and the concealment of things. In interactions, Andras is known to be blunt, serious, dominant, intimidating, direct, and sometimes impatient. This demeanor necessitates that summoners approach him with caution and respect, ensuring they are well prepared and protected during any engagement. Moloch is a figure rooted in ancient Near Eastern religions, notably among the Canaanites and Phoenicians. Historically, Moloch is associated with certain abhorrent sacrificial rituals, practices vehemently condemned in the Hebrew Bible. The deity's name appears multiple times, particularly in the book of Leviticus, where such rituals are explicitly prohibited. In terms of appearance, Moloch is traditionally depicted as a colossal figure with a bull's head and a human body. This imagery aligns with the common representation of deities in the ancient Near East, where bulls symbolized strength and fertility. Some descriptions portray Moloch as a bronze or iron statue, sometimes with black stones for eyes, emphasizing his imposing and fearsome nature. The rituals associated with Moloch were particularly notorious for their brutality. Parents would offer their children as sacrifices, believing this would appease the deity and ensure prosperity. In Christian demonology, Moloch is classified as a demon, often depicted as a prince of hell. His primary role is to induce parents to sacrifice their children, perpetuating the ancient practices associated with his worship. Moloch's influence extends into literature and popular culture. In John Milton's Paradise Lost, Moloch is depicted as a fierce and warlike demon, advocating for open war against heaven. This portrayal highlights his association with violence and unyielding aggression. The term Moloch has also evolved into a metaphor representing any entity or system that demands a costly sacrifice. On the plus side, no one would ever want to worship or summon such an evil entity, right? Well, one can only hope. Oribus is recognized as a great prince of hell commanding 20 legions of demons. He is known for his unwavering honesty and loyalty, offering truthful answers about the past, present, and future. Unlike most other demons, Oribus is faithful to those who summon him, ensuring they are not deceived or tempted by other spirits. Oribus possesses the ability to bestow dignities, granting favor from both friends and foes. He can also protect individuals from the persecution of evil spirits and enemies, putting a stop to slander and gossip. His knowledge extends to divinity and the creation of the world, making him a valuable source of esoteric wisdom. In terms of appearance, Oribus is depicted as a horse that transforms into a man upon the conjurer's request. Some descriptions portray him as a black stallion bucking up with lightning, while others describe him as a small, unusual-looking dark-haired man or a boy with medium blonde ring curls. His association with horses is notable, and he is considered the patron of horses amongst demonologists. This connection to horses is further emphasized by his initial equine appearance and his ability to transform into human form, symbolizing his role in the liminal space between humanity and animals. Oribus's unique combination of honesty, loyalty, and protective abilities distinguishes him from other demonic entities we've discussed in this iceberg. Barbatos holds the rank of Duke and commands 30 legions of demons. His name is derived from the Latin word barbatus, meaning bearded, old man, or philosopher, which may reflect his wisdom and age-old knowledge. In terms of appearance, he's often depicted as an archer or hunter in the woods, accompanied by demons sounding horns before him. Barbatos possesses the power to understand and interpret the voices of animals, including the singing of birds and the barking of dogs. This ability allows him to offer insights into their behaviors, so I suppose this is one you want to summon if you're looking to start up a canine psychology practice. In addition to his communication with animals, Barbatos can reveal hidden treasures that have been concealed by magical means. He has the knowledge to uncover these secrets, making him a sought-after entity for those seeking lost or hidden wealth. Barbatos also possesses the ability to provide knowledge of past and future events. He's known for his skill in reconciling disputes between friends and those in positions of power. His diplomatic abilities make him an effective mediator, capable of restoring harmony in strained relationships. Barbatos is also often invoked by those seeking guidance in natural philosophy, particularly in studies involving herbs and their mystical or medicinal properties. His deep connection to nature and his ability to communicate with the natural world make him an invaluable guide in understanding the hidden wisdom of plants. Practitioners believe he can reveal the esoteric uses of herbs, assisting with their application in healing, alchemy, or spiritual rituals. This makes him a sought-after figure in botanical pursuits. The Grand Grimoire, also known as the Red Dragon, is one of the most infamous grimoires in occult history. Known for its association with black magic, it's said to contain powerful rituals for summoning demons and forming pacts. While some editions date the manuscript as far back as 1521 or 1522, historians argue the text is likely from the early 18th century. The text's authorship is attributed to one Antonio del Rabina, though little is known about this figure or whether he's even a historical person. Like many grimoires, it claims to have roots in the writings of King Solomon, a legendary figure often linked to magical wisdom. According to the Grand Grimoire, Antonio del Rabina wasn't actually the author of the book, but rather, he transcribed a text which was written by Solomon himself. This practice of connecting magical texts to ancient authoritative sources was common and helped establish the book's credibility. The Grand Grimoire is divided into two main sections, each detailing specific magical practices. The first section outlines the evocation of Lucifuge Rofacal, described as a high-ranking demon serving under Lucifer himself. The text provides instructions on summoning Lucifuge and negotiating a pact, often aimed at acquiring wealth or worldly power. The second section deals with the specifics of making and sealing these demonic pacts. It explains the tools, rituals, and evocations necessary for the process, emphasizing the need for strict adherence to the outlined steps. Aside from its focus on demonology, the grimoire contains a variety of spells and rituals meant to address other desires. These include rites for love, invisibility, and communicating with the dead. Each spell typically requires specific tools, such as consecrated candles, engraved symbols, and protective circles, reflecting common elements in European occult practices of the period. These spells are presented with detailed instructions, underscoring the manuscript's emphasis on precision and ritualistic discipline. While its content draws heavily from earlier grimoires, such as the Grimoire of Pope Honorius, the Grand Grimoire gained a distinct reputation. Some have referred to it as the most dangerous grimoire, a claim rooted in its bold approach to summoning demons and securing power. Notably, unlike other grimoires which dedicate significant time to protecting the magician, the Grand Grimoire dispenses with this and simply gets down to the business of raw acquisition of power. Its reputation as a manual for black magic has been both a source of fascination and controversy. The Catholic Church, for instance, has allegedly condemned it, and legends claim the original manuscript resides in the Vatican's secret archives. Occult practitioners today view it as both a practical guide and a historical artifact. Some believe its rituals and spells hold genuine power, while others see it as a symbolic or psychological tool. Still others view it as a dangerous tome which doesn't offer adequate protection for the high-level magic it has on offer. Mastema is a figure in ancient Jewish literature, particularly prominent in the Book of Jubilees. His name derives from the Hebrew word meaning hatred or hostility. In these texts, Mastema is depicted as an angel or demon who carries out God's punishments, tempts humans, and tests their faith. In the Book of Jubilees, Mastema is portrayed as the leader of the Nephilim, the offspring of the fallen angels known as the Watchers and human women. When God decides to eliminate the demons after the flood, Mastema intervenes, requesting permission to retain and control a tenth of them to corrupt and lead humans astray. God grants this request, allowing Mastema to continue to test humans with his permission. Mastema's role extends to various biblical narratives, though this is by tradition rather than direct reference. He is said to have counseled God to test Abraham by commanding him to sacrifice his son, Isaac, mirroring the role of Satan in the book of Job. Additionally, Mastema is credited with aiding the Egyptians against Moses and attempting to kill him, as well as assisting Pharaoh's magicians in opposing Moses and Aaron. In the Dead Sea Scrolls, Mastema is referred to as the angel of disaster, the father of all evil, and a flatterer of God. These texts suggest that Mastema continues to operate under God's authority, executing divine judgments and testing human faith. Notably, some have argued that Mastema may be a specific name or title of Satan, or perhaps even a separate facet of Satan acting at different times and places. The argument that Mastema is a facet of Satan stems from their overlapping roles in testing humanity, fostering enmity, and carrying out divine punishments. While Mastema and Satan are distinct figures in some texts, their functions align closely. This suggests Mastema could represent an early or alternative conceptualization of Satan, particularly in Jewish traditions. Volak is recognized as a great president of hell, commanding 30 legions of spirits. He's renowned for his ability to reveal hidden treasures and locate snakes, delivering them harmlessly to those who summon him. Depictions of Volak often present him as a small boy with angelic wings, riding a two-headed dragon. This imagery juxtaposes innocence with demonic power, highlighting his deceptive nature. The two-headed dragon symbolizes his dominion over serpents and hidden knowledge. He provides true answers about hidden matters, offering insights into past, present, and future events. This makes him a sought-after entity for those seeking esoteric knowledge. Despite his childlike appearance, Volak is considered one of the oldest and strongest demons, capable of leading individuals to their doom if not approached with caution. Baal is a key figure in demonology and in Christian demonological traditions, and in occult circles he's considered one of the kings of hell. The name Baal is derived from Baal, a term used in the ancient Near East to refer to local deities or lords. In Canaanite religion, Baal was a title for storm and fertility gods, such as Baal Hadad, who played pivotal roles in regional mythologies. Over time, these pagan deities became demonized in Jewish and Christian narratives, particularly during the early development of monotheism, as the religions sought to vilify rival gods. Baal's transformation from deity to demon reflects this historical and theological evolution. Early Jewish texts depict Baal worship as idolatry, with the prophet Elijah famously challenging Baal's prophets on Mount Carmel. By the medieval period, Baal had been fully incorporated into Christian demonology. By the Renaissance, demonological texts began cataloging demons systematically, and Baal emerged as a distinct figure. In the Pseudo-Monarchia Daemonum by Johann Weyer, he's described as a king ruling over 66 legions of demons. The Dictionnaire Infernal by Jacques Collin de Plancy further elaborated on Baal's attributes, solidifying his portrayal in Western demonology. Baal is famously described as having 3 heads: a man, a cat, and a toad. Each head is said to symbolize a unique aspect of his dominion. The human head represents intellect and cunning, while the cat's head reflects stealth and agility. The toad's head symbolizes corruption, further emphasizing his malevolent nature. This tri-headed depiction highlights Baal's multifaceted and deceptive character, portraying him as a figure capable of influencing various realms of existence. Some traditions depict Baal with his three heads mounted on a set of spider legs, enhancing his terrifying and unnatural form. The spider-like qualities align with his reputation for entrapment and manipulation, much like a predator weaving a web to ensnare prey. Baal is most commonly associated with the power to render individuals invisible. This ability made him a frequent subject of interest for those seeking to escape detection or manipulate their surroundings undetected. The art of invisibility is referenced across multiple grimoires, highlighting his role in teaching hidden knowledge to mortals. His influence is thought to extend to intellectual pursuits, offering insights and knowledge to those who invoke him. Baal's origins as a deity turned demon reflect broader cultural and religious themes of the ancient world. His demonization is emblematic of the shift from polytheism to monotheism, where once revered gods were recast as symbols of malevolence and opposition. Gusion holds the title of Great Duke of Hell and commands 40 legions of demons. He's renowned for his ability to reveal past, present, and future events, offering profound insights into various matters. Additionally, Gusion is known to reconcile friendships and bestow honor and dignity upon individuals. Depictions of Gusion's appearance vary across sources. Some describe him as a cynocephalus, a creature with a human body and the head of a dog. Others portray him as a baboon, emphasizing his animalistic features. Beyond his divinatory abilities, Gusion is adept at resolving conflicts and restoring harmony among individuals. His diplomatic skills make him a valuable mediator in disputes, facilitating reconciliation and fostering peaceful relations. Moreover, Gusion possesses the power to elevate one's social standing, granting honor and dignity to those who seek his favor. The Sworn Book of Honorius is a medieval grimoire attributed to Honorius of Thebes. It's considered one of the oldest and most influential grimoires in European magical tradition. The text is believed to have been composed in the 13th century, though its exact origins remain uncertain. The grimoire is structured into 93 chapters, covering a wide array of topics. It provides instructions on conjuring and commanding demons, performing various magical operations, and gaining knowledge of celestial realms. Notably, it includes rituals aimed at saving one's soul from purgatory, catching thieves, and finding treasures. The text emphasizes the importance of proper ritual procedures and the use of specific seals. A significant feature of the Sworn Book is the inclusion of the Seal of God, also known as the Sigillum Dei. This complex symbol is central to the grimoire's rituals and is believed to grant the practitioner the ability to command spirits and gain divine visions. The authorship of the Sworn Book is attributed to Honorius of Thebes, a figure shrouded in mystery. The text claims that Honorius was the son of Euclid, master of the Thebans, though no historical evidence supports this lineage. Some scholars suggest that Honorius of Thebes may be a mythical or symbolic figure rather than a historical person. Others claim that Honorius of Thebes may have been Pope Honorius I, a pope who reigned in the 7th century. Vipar is recognized as a great Duke of Hell commanding 29 legions of demons. He is often depicted as a merman, symbolizing his dominion over the seas. Vipar's powers are closely tied to water. At the conjurer's request, he can make the sea rough and stormy, and cause it to appear full of ships. Beyond his maritime control, Vipar possesses the ability to inflict severe physical ailments. He can make individuals die slowly through the spreading of sores. However, if requested by the conjurer, he can heal these afflictions immediately. This dual capacity for harm and healing highlights his complex nature. In summoning practices, Vipar is considered approachable and amicable towards the conjurer. He is known to provide an aura of lightness during rituals, leaving the conjurer with a happy and lifted feeling. The Greater Key of Solomon is one of the most well-known grimoires in Western occult tradition. Notably, in modern times, it's much less well-known than the Lesser Key of Solomon, which contains many of the demons discussed in this video. Despite its association with King Solomon, scholars generally agree that it originated in the 14th or 15th century during the Italian Renaissance. This text reflects the era's fascination with esotericism and ceremonial magic, blending Christian, Jewish, and pre-Christian Greco-Roman influences. The grimoire is divided into two primary books. The first focuses on summoning and commanding spirits, offering instructions on invocations, prayers, and rituals. These rituals are elaborate and require significant preparation, including purification processes for the practitioner. Practitioners are directed to maintain physical and spiritual purity, emphasizing the importance of discipline and focus in working with spiritual entities. The second book details the construction and use of magical tools such as pentacles, swords, and wands. It explains the materials and techniques for crafting these objects and stresses the importance of timing, aligning their creation with specific astrological conditions. Each tool is inscribed with symbols and names of power, believed to imbue the items with the ability to control or direct spirits. The careful attention to these tools highlights the grimoire's systematic approach to magic. The rituals described in the Greater Key of Solomon often involve invoking divine names and commanding spirits to perform tasks or share knowledge. The practitioner is portrayed as a figure who, through purity and faith, has the authority to wield power over these entities. This perspective aligns with the medieval Christian worldview, where divine authority superseded all other powers. Despite being attributed to King Solomon, there is no historical evidence connecting him to the text. Solomon's biblical reputation as a wise king with command over spirits likely inspired the association. In Jewish folklore, Solomon is credited with controlling demons to build the temple in Jerusalem, a narrative that influenced later Christian magical traditions. By attributing the grimoire to Solomon, the authors lent it an air of authority and mystique, as we have seen numerous times throughout this series. The text has survived in various manuscripts and translations. One of the most influential modern versions was translated by S. L. MacGregor Mathers, a member of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, in the late 19th century. Mathers' translation became a cornerstone of modern Western occultism, shaping the practices of groups like the Golden Dawn and influencing figures like Aleister Crowley. Today, the text remains a key resource for ceremonial magicians and occult enthusiasts. Dantalion is a powerful Duke of Hell commanding 36 legions of spirits. He possesses profound abilities related to knowledge, influence, and mind reading. Dantalion can reveal hidden knowledge and secrets, making him a go-to figure for those seeking to uncover the truth behind mysteries. He has the power to perceive the thoughts and intentions of others, providing deep insights into people's desires and motives. Additionally, Dantalion can influence and control the thoughts and feelings of individuals, making him a potent figure in situations requiring persuasion or mental manipulation. Some sources describe him as having multiple faces or heads, representing his comprehensive knowledge and insight into various aspects of thought and behavior. Dantalion's abilities extend to teaching all arts and sciences, and he can declare the secret counsel of anyone, given that he knows the thoughts of all people and can change them at his will. His mastery over thoughts, emotion, and perceptions allows him to influence the hearts of others, making him a powerful ally in matters requiring persuasion and emotional depth. In modern occult practices, Dantalion is often invoked by practitioners who seek a deeper understanding of human psychology. According to demonologists, rituals involving Dantalion should be approached with caution and ethical consideration, given his potent ability to alter thoughts and emotions. In Gnostic cosmology, archons are malevolent entities that govern the material world, acting as obstacles to spiritual enlightenment. The term archon derives from a Greek term of the exact same name meaning ruler or authority. These beings are often depicted as the creators and overseers of the physical universe, enforcing ignorance and preventing souls from attaining gnosis, knowledge of the divine realm. Central to Gnostic belief is the concept of the demiurge, a subordinate deity responsible for the creation of the material world. This entity is often identified with the God of the Old Testament and is considered ignorant or malevolent. The archons serve the demiurge, named Yaldabaoth, assisting in the construction and maintenance of the physical realm. They are typically associated with the 7 classical planets: Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, the Sun, Venus, Mercury, and the Moon, each governed by a specific archon. This planetary association reflects the archon's roles in influencing human destiny and maintaining the soul's entrapment within the material world. The Hypostasis of the Archons, a Gnostic text from the Nag Hammadi library, provides a detailed account of these entities. It describes the archons as androgynous beings, with faces resembling beasts, highlighting their corrupt and deceptive nature. Their leader, Yaldabaoth, is portrayed as a lion-faced serpent, embodying arrogance and ignorance. Yaldabaoth's proclamation, "I am God and there is no other God beside me," is said to exemplify his delusion and his lack of awareness of the true transcendent God. According to this belief, Jesus Christ represents the true universal transcendent God sent to earth, explaining the significantly different teachings of Jesus from the God of the Old Testament. Gnostic teachings emphasize that the material world, crafted by the archons, is inherently flawed and a source of suffering. Human souls, considered divine sparks, are trapped within physical bodies, subjected to the archon's control. Salvation, according to Gnostic belief, involves transcending the material realm by acquiring gnosis. This esoteric knowledge enables individuals to recognize their divine origin and navigate past the archons, ultimately reuniting with the true God. The archon's influence extends to human thoughts and behaviors. They are believed to instill ignorance, fear, and material desires, diverting souls from spiritual awakening. By manipulating human consciousness, the archons maintain their dominion over the material world, ensuring that souls remain ensnared in the cycle of birth and rebirth. Orcus, a figure from Roman and Etruscan mythology, serves as a powerful representation of the underworld and divine justice. As a god associated with death, Orcus was tasked with punishing oath-breakers and those who violated sacred vows. The origins of Orcus trace back to the Etruscans, who held significant influence over early Roman religious practices. Etruscan mythology, which predates much of Roman belief, contributed several key deities and concepts to the Roman pantheon. Descriptions of Orcus's appearance are sparse in Roman sources, but surviving depictions from art and related myths paint him as a fearsome, imposing figure. Some accounts describe Orcus as a hairy, bearded giant, a form that reinforces his power and dominance over the dead. Over time, Orcus's identity merged with other underworld deities in the Roman pantheon, reflecting the syncretic nature of Roman religion. Dis Pater, originally a god of wealth and the underworld, and Pluto, a direct Roman counterpart to the Greek Hades, both absorbed attributes of Orcus. During the Middle Ages, Orcus became linked to the broader archetype of infernal spirits. His name, or variations of it, appeared in texts and folklore as a generic term for hellish creatures. The term orc, derived from orcus, evolved in medieval languages to signify monstrous beings, further cementing his association with demonic imagery. Medieval bestiaries and literary works sometimes used orcs, or orc-like beings, to describe agents of chaos and evil, reinforcing the connection between Orcus and the infernal realm. Johann Weyer's De Praestigiis Daemonum, translated as On the Tricks of Demons, is a seminal 1563 work that challenged prevailing beliefs about witchcraft and demonology. Weyer, a physician and former student of the renowned humanist Heinrich Cornelius Agrippa, approached the subject from a medical and psychological perspective. He argued that alleged witches were not in league with the devil, but were instead suffering from mental illnesses. In the 16th century, Europe was gripped by a fervent belief in witchcraft, leading to widespread persecution of those accused. The Malleus Maleficarum, published in 1487, served as a manual for identifying and prosecuting witches, reinforcing the notion that witchcraft was a real and present danger. Weyer, however, contested this view. Drawing from his medical background, he posited that many accused witches were individuals suffering from mental disorders, not agents of Satan. He criticized the methods used to extract confessions, noting that torture often led to false admissions. Weyer's arguments were grounded in his observations as a physician, where he recognized symptoms of mental illness in those accused of witchcraft. De Praestigiis Daemonum is meticulously organized into 5 books, each addressing different facets of demonology and witchcraft. The first book delves into the nature of demons and their supposed interactions with humans. Weyer argues that many reported demonic encounters are the result of natural causes or psychological disturbances. The second book examines the practices of magicians and sorcerers, suggesting that their alleged powers are either fraudulent or misunderstood natural phenomena. In the third book, Weyer discusses the various types of spirits and their classifications, drawing from earlier works but often providing a more skeptical interpretation. The fourth book is particularly notable for its appendix, the Pseudo-Monarchia Daemonum, which lists demons and their supposed hierarchies. Most scholars agree that Weyer includes this not to endorse the information, but to expose the absurdity of such beliefs. Notably, despite this, the Pseudo-Monarchia Daemonum became a cornerstone of demonology in the early modern period. The final book addresses the treatment of those accused of witchcraft, advocating for compassion and medical care rather than punishment. Weyer's work was met with mixed reactions. While some contemporaries appreciated his rational approach, others criticized him for undermining the efforts to combat witchcraft. Some accused him of being in league with the devil himself, given that his work was seen as providing cover for individuals associated with witchcraft and who had even confessed. Hecate is a mysterious figure in Greek mythology, revered and feared for her connection to the underworld, witchcraft, magic, and the supernatural. Although her exact origins are debated, she is often described as the daughter of the Titans, Perses, and Asteria, a lineage that gave her some dominion over the heavens, earth, and sea. Unlike many Titans, Hecate retained her powers under the reign of Zeus, signifying her enduring authority across different realms. What sets Hecate apart from other deities is her role at the crossroads, both literally and symbolically. She was frequently depicted as a three-faced goddess, representing her ability to see the past, present, and future, or as a figure standing at the junction of life and death, the physical and spiritual worlds. This triple form, which later associated her with other goddesses like Persephone and Demeter, emphasized her power over transitions and boundaries. Her presence at crossroads made her a protector of travelers, but more ominously, also a guardian of the dead. In fact, ancient Greeks placed statues of Hecate at the entrance of homes and cities to ward off evil spirits. Hecate's connection to the underworld is a core aspect of her identity. One of the most famous myths involving Hecate is her participation in the abduction of Persephone. While other gods watched passively, Hecate helped Demeter search for her daughter. After Persephone's descent into the underworld, Hecate remained her guide and companion, further solidifying her role as an underworld-related deity. One of the more intriguing elements of Hecate's mythos is her association with witchcraft. She was a goddess of spells and all magic, and in particular necromancy. Her symbols reflect this dark mysticism, including the key, representing her control over the boundary between the living and the dead, torches, for lighting the way through the darkness, and serpents. While Hecate is generally not directly summoned by demonologists, she is revered as a symbol of dark wisdom. In Gnostic traditions, Sophia, whose name means wisdom in Greek, is a central figure embodying both divine wisdom and the human soul's journey. She represents a feminine aspect of the divine, often depicted as the female counterpart of Jesus Christ, and is sometimes identified with the Holy Spirit. Gnostic cosmology typically begins with an unknowable, supreme God, from whom emanate various divine beings known as aeons. Sophia is considered the last and lowest of these aeons. Her narrative is pivotal in explaining the creation of the material world and the human condition. According to Gnostic myth, Sophia, driven by a desire to know the supreme God, acts independently, without her male counterpart, or the consent of the divine fullness. This unauthorized action leads to her fall from the pleroma, and results in the birth of a flawed being, the demiurge Yaldabaoth, often identified with the God of the Old Testament. The demiurge, ignorant of his origins, creates the material world, which is seen as a distorted reflection of the divine realm. Sophia's fall is not just a cosmic event, but also a reflection of the human soul's entrapment in the material world. Her story symbolizes the soul's descent into ignorance and its potential for redemption through gnosis, or esoteric knowledge. Gnostics believe that by attaining this knowledge, individuals can transcend the material realm and return to the divine source. The narrative of Sophia varies among different Gnostic sects. In most accounts, she is depicted as the mother of the demiurge, while in others, she is portrayed as making the demiurge into a consort of her own creation. Despite these variations, her role as a mediator between the divine and material worlds remains consistent. Sophia's story also highlights the Gnostic view of the material world as inherently flawed. The creation of the world by the demiurge, a being born out of Sophia's error, underscores the belief that the physical realm is a deviation from the divine order. This perspective contrasts sharply with Orthodox Christian views, which see the material world as God's intentional and good creation. Heinrich Cornelius Agrippa's 3 books of occult philosophy stands as a cornerstone in Western esoteric literature. Published in 1533, this comprehensive work delves into the realms of natural magic, astrology, and divine mysteries, reflecting the Renaissance's fervent quest to harmonize science with mysticism. Agrippa, a German polymath born in 1486, was deeply immersed in the intellectual currents of his time. His engagement with Hermeticism, Kabbalah, and Neoplatonism is evident throughout his writings. The 3 books of occult philosophy emerged during a period when Europe was experiencing a resurgence of interest in ancient wisdom and esoteric traditions. This era, marked by the Renaissance, saw scholars striving to reconcile classical knowledge with contemporary thought. The treatise is divided into 3 distinct books, each addressing different facets of what was then defined as occult philosophy. The first book explores the natural world, emphasizing the hidden properties of elements, plants, animals, and minerals. Agrippa discusses how these natural objects possess inherent virtues that can be harnessed through proper understanding and application. He delves into the four elements earth, water, air, and fire, and their corresponding qualities, asserting that a deep comprehension of these elements is essential for practicing natural magic. The second book transitions to the influence of celestial bodies on the terrestrial realm. Agrippa examines the astrological correspondences between planets, stars, and earthly events. He elaborates on how the positions and movements of celestial bodies can affect human affairs, weather patterns, and natural phenomena. This section underscores the belief that the macrocosm, the universe, and the microcosm, the individual, are interconnected. The third book delves into the realm of ceremonial or ritual magic. Agrippa provides insights into the invocation of spirits, the use of talismans, and the performance of rituals to achieve specific outcomes. He emphasizes the importance of purity, intention, and adherence to specific protocols when engaging in such practices. This book reflects the synthesis of various esoteric traditions, including Kabbalistic and Hermetic teachings. Agrippa significantly influenced subsequent esoteric and magical traditions. The work's integration of various esoteric disciplines provided a framework that many later practitioners built upon. Despite its acclaim, Agrippa's work was not without controversy. The Catholic Church, wary of the potential heretical implications of such esoteric writings, scrutinized and often condemned works on magic and the occult. Agrippa himself faced criticism and suspicion, leading to periods of hardship and persecution. His writings were included in the Church's Index of Forbidden Books, reflecting the tension between emerging Renaissance humanism and established religious orthodoxy. An egregore is a concept in Western occultism referring to an autonomous psychic entity created by a collective group mind. These entities are sustained by the shared beliefs, rituals, and sacrifices of a group, ranging from small covens to entire nations. When an egregore receives sufficient sustenance, it can take on a life of its own, becoming an independent deity with powers its believers can use to further their own spiritual advancement. The concept of egregores has roots in ancient civilizations. In classical Greece and Rome, they were consciously called into being to watch over city-states. These entities were believed to influence the destiny of the communities that created them. Over time, the understanding of egregores evolved, permeating various Western mystery traditions, including the Corpus Hermeticum. In these traditions, egregores were seen as powerful forces that could be harnessed for spiritual growth, or, conversely, could become parasitic and destructive if not properly managed. Modern esoteric orders such as Rosicrucianism have incorporated the concept of egregores into their practices. These groups recognize that collective rituals and focused intentions can create powerful psychic entities that influence both individual members and the group as a whole. Recognizing the presence of one of these entities involves observing the collective behaviors and beliefs within a group. Signs include a strong, unified focus on specific symbols or rituals and a sense of an autonomous presence influencing the group's actions. To manage or dissolve an egregore, it's essential to withdraw the collective energy that sustains it. This can be achieved by ceasing the rituals and beliefs that feed the entity, thereby allowing it to dissipate over time. While egregores can serve as tools for collective empowerment, they also pose risks to personal autonomy. Individuals may find their thoughts and actions subtly influenced by the egregore, leading to a loss of personal agency. It's crucial for individuals to remain aware of these influences and take steps to maintain their autonomy, such as critically evaluating group beliefs and practices. Demonic possession is a topic found within many occult traditions and refers to the belief that an external spirit or entity, often malevolent, takes control of an individual's body and mind. Throughout history, numerous cultures have recognized phenomena akin to demonic possession. In ancient Mesopotamia, for instance, ailments and psychological disturbances were frequently attributed to malevolent spirits. Similarly, in ancient Greece, the concept of daimones encompassed both benevolent and malevolent entities believed to influence human behavior. In medieval Europe, the Christian Church's interpretation of possession was predominantly demonic, leading to numerous exorcisms as well as witch hunts. Religious and occult traditions worldwide show remarkable similarities in signs and symptoms of demonic possession. One of the most commonly reported signs is unusual physical strength. Individuals believed to be possessed are said to exhibit strength that far exceeds their natural capacity. Cases from historical and contemporary accounts describe people, often of modest build, performing feats that would typically require far greater physical power. This phenomenon is especially unsettling for witnesses and is frequently interpreted as evidence of an external entity taking control of the body. Those who report witnessing such strength describe the event as something that defies normal human limitations, suggesting an unnatural influence at work. Another prominent sign of possession is an aversion to sacred objects, particularly religious symbols like crosses, holy water, or scripture. In numerous reports, possessed individuals display strong, even violent, reactions to these objects. This aversion is often accompanied by expressions of fear, aggression, or disgust, leading many to conclude that a malevolent entity inhabits the individual and recoils from items representing goodness. Possession cases sometimes feature instances where the affected individual speaks languages unknown to them. Often termed xenoglossy, this phenomenon involves a person suddenly articulating phrases or entire conversations in a foreign language they've never studied or encountered before. This is particularly disturbing to observers, as it seems to reveal knowledge that the person could not have acquired through natural means. In the Christian context, reports of xenoglossy during possession generally include use of ancient languages like Latin, Ancient Greek, or Aramaic. Personality shifts are also observed, where an ordinarily gentle individual may exhibit aggressive, hostile, or blasphemous behavior. This change can seem so drastic that it appears as if another consciousness has taken over, with the original personality entirely suppressed. However, these signs aren't universally accepted as evidence of possession. Many skeptics and mental health professionals argue that these symptoms can stem from psychological or neurological disorders rather than an external spirit or entity. Conditions such as dissociative identity disorder, psychosis, or epilepsy can produce behaviors that mimic possession symptoms, including personality shifts and language disturbances. Psychological explanations suggest that individuals displaying signs of possession may be experiencing an intense mental health crisis rather than a supernatural event. Exorcism, the act of expelling a possessing entity, varies across cultures. In Christian traditions, it generally involves invoking the name of Jesus Christ to command the demon to depart and citing passages where Jesus combated demonic entities spiritually. If you like this video, please do me a huge favor and click like and subscribe, and also click the share button and send it to anyone who you think may enjoy it. Also, huge shout out to all my patrons and YouTube members. You guys help make it possible for me to devote so much of my time to content creation.